So the goal of the expedition is to bring all the information together which will show that the Phoenicians were likely to have been the first of the ancient sailors to cross the Atlantic to the Americas. Okay, the Phoenicians were known for their incredible trading activities. They exported wine and olive oil to Europe. They were tremendous metal traders across the Mediterranean. And apart from the fact that they established this incredible shipping empire and navigational skills, they were brilliant negotiators. And Professor Habib Shamoun has studied this area, and even today some of their negotiating techniques are taught in modern business schools. So this really set the Phoenicians apart.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Habib Shamoun, who wrote this wonderful book, Negotiate Like a Phoenician. Wonderful book that explains a lot about negotiations from the time of King Hiram until today, actually, and how the Phoenicians did their trade through smart negotiations where they always left the other party happy as well. Dr. Habib Shamoun is professor of international negotiations and conflict management at different business schools in Houston, Europe, Mexico, and Latin America. He has researched the Phoenician way of negotiations and author of this book, as I mentioned, Negotiate Like a Phoenician. Professor Shamoun arrived this morning from Argentina, where he was presenting his new book, Transcend. He is the founder and honorary president of the Phoenician International Research Center. Dr. Shamoun, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you, Hiram, like King Hiram, right? And thank you, Captain Philippe. Thank you for making this happen, Remy and Daniel. I'm really happy to be here, and everybody that is here. I will be very short. I'm just going to tell you that in my case, I'm so impressed myself with the Phoenician culture that after teaching the negotiation way of the Phoenicians, I just received a call like a month ago from a PhD in Spain that he's following the steps of the Negotiate Like a Phoenician, and he got a PhD. And then I have another PhD student in Vienna who is studying the first globalization of the world. And he's not talking about our globalization, he's talking about the Phoenicians. So the interesting thing is that I've been teaching the Phoenician methodology not only in the US, but around like 100 countries. Somebody tell me in Russian, who were the Phoenicians? So they start digging around and understanding. So it's bringing that back to the present, going back to the principles. So that's the idea. And I'm not going to bore you a lot with the Negotiate Like a Phoenician book. But what I want to tell you is that in my research, I will say, and I tell everywhere in the world, that the Phoenicians need at least 3 Nobel Prizes. And I say at least 3 Nobel Prizes. The Phoenician culture. The first Nobel Prize is the Nobel Prize of Literature. Why? Because they invented the alphabet, and they gave it to the Greeks. They didn't charge them for that. And they took it all over. And thanks to them, we have an alphabet today. The second one will be the peace, the Nobel Prize of Peace. Why? Because it's the only civilization that conquered for more than 2,000 years the Mediterranean with no war, with commercial agreements. So Nobel Prize of Peace, and also the economy. Why the economy? That's what we study in the book. What we study is the Phoenicians, they didn't go and conquer the other cultures. They will make rich the culture. For instance, Malta. The Phoenicians will go to Malta, and instead of just making an exchange of something for something else, like, you know, what, bartering, instead of bartering, they did make them rich. In other words, if you make the other rich, then you become rich. The problem is that today, people just want to get rich without getting the other one rich. That's the problem. The Phoenicians were very abundant. So what they will do, they will give more than they receive. And that's why we're talking about them today. That's why for me it's an honor to be here with this Phoenician ship and all of the surroundings, because it's bringing back the culture. Just to end, I will tell you that I was in Bogota, Colombia, in front of 400 Colombian Lebanese. I'm Mexican Lebanese myself, but I was in front of 400 women, Colombian Lebanese, like Shakira. Okay, and I was speechless. No, of course not. They gave me a book, and that book, it was Arabic Latinized, so that I can read it. And there was a phrase, which I will end today with that phrase, which is Amel emnig ukebel baher, which means do well and throw it to the sea. Why? Because the sea is so extensive that they won't see you. Number one. Number two, for the same amplitude of the sea, you won't see them. They don't see you, you won't see them. Also, you will do well all your life. And that's not enough. You know, you can always do more because of the abundance of the sea. They won't see you, you won't see them. You continue doing well all your life. And third, the sea is dynamic, it's not static. So even if you don't expect anything, something will come back to you. Maybe not to you, to the next generation or to the next generation. That's called transgenerational. That's what I just wrote about the new book. How do you do negotiations that do an impact for the next generation? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm participating in the Phoenicians Before Columbus expedition as a beginner sailor. A lot for the world culture, and this is going to be my chance to really be on the boat and just show the world that we as Lebanese are still there, we still care for the culture.
So we're here to talk about the Phoenicians Before Columbus, which is an expedition after the first Phoenician expedition which circumnavigated Africa. The Phoenician ship is a replica 6th century BC Phoenician vessel, which was built in Syria and circumnavigated Africa between 2008 to 2010. We're very excited about this next leg, which will sail from Gibraltar to someplace in the Americas. Probably Central America, but maybe as far north as the south of Florida.
So we're very happy to bring this wonderful adventure and expedition to the attention of people in New York and the United States. We are hoping very much that this will be the beginning of a bigger exposure because this subject has to have more attention due to its deep importance in the history of the Phoenicians, the history of the alphabet, the history of trade and negotiations, and hopefully if we end up having a successful expedition from Gibraltar to South America, the notion that the Phoenicians reached the Americas before Columbus and before the Vikings would have an opening through this project to be more investigated. Hopefully we'll be looking at possibly archaeological evidence in the Bahamas and Cuba and Florida. We'll see what the future will be hiding for us. But
yeah, with that kind of exposure, it might lead to more research. And if they do discover more hard evidence that the Phoenicians came to the Americas, that would be a huge thing for history. Absolutely huge. It would affect a lot of things.
Totally. And we are quite happy that we have been able to put together an exhibition focusing on ancient ships, on Phoenician art, along with the fundraising event that we had today, which I believe is the first one in the US.
Yeah.
And it was successful.
Absolutely.
And we look forward for more. We want the Lebanese diaspora, the Levantine diaspora, Syrian, and all from all over the Middle East, all the Lebanese, in Brazil, in Mexico, in Canada, to know about what we're doing, about the wonderful work that Captain Philip Beale has done, to know about it, to contribute, and to know that this is an opportunity for them to be so proud of their ancestors.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better.
The objective of the expedition is to bring all the information together which supports the theory that the Phoenicians were the first of the ancient sailors to get to the Americas. And if you can help us in any way, either financially or in kind or in some other way, then please do get in touch with us.